Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of Then We Eat. The weather is turning cool, so it's time for another dessert. So in today's episode, we're going to be making my favorite, Welsh Cakes. These cookies are a favorite of ours. When I was growing up, my mom used to make them all the time. These cookies were always called my grandmother's Welsh cakes, but I don't ever remember my grandmother making them. I only remember my mom making them, and she did a really good job. My dad used to tease us when we were growing up. He used to call them fly cookies. When my mom used to make them, he'd say, "Oh, your mom has gathered all the dead flies from the windowsills. It's time for another batch of cookies." But that didn't matter to us. We always knew he was kidding, and we loved them anyway. The first thing we're going to do is add all our dry ingredients. To our bowl, we're going to add 3 cups of flour, a tablespoon of baking powder, a dash of salt, and 3/4 of a cup of white sugar. We're going to give that a mix. Then we're going to cut in a 1/2 cup of shortening and a 1/2 cup of soft butter, room temperature. So we have our 1/2 cup of shortening and our 1/2 cup of soft butter. I'm going to cut that in with my pastry cutter, and we're going to break it up until it's nice tiny little pieces. If your butter and shortening all sticks to your pastry cutter, just use a knife and run it out. As you can see, there's not a lot of big chunks of butter or shortening in there. I'm just going to give it a little bit more of a mix. And now I'm ready to add my wet ingredients. Next, you're going to crack 1 egg into a measuring cup, give it a little bit of a whisk, and then you're going to fill the rest of the measuring cup up to 3/4 of a cup with milk. Now we're going to add our milk-egg mixture to our batter, and we'll give that a mix. These are a pretty dry cookie. You may think your batter looks pretty dry, but it's supposed to be dry. And the last thing we're going to add is a cup of currants. Currants are a smaller form of a raisin. If you don't have currants, you could add raisins. I've also made it with dried cranberries, and they taste absolutely amazing with the cranberries. Whatever you have, put it in. It's 1 cup. If your raisins are a little dry and you want to moisten them up, you can take your cup of raisins, add a little bit of water to it, and just let them soak for about 10 minutes. Dump the water out, and your raisins are all nice and plumped and ready to go. There we go. That's well mixed. I'm just going to wash my hands, and we'll be back to roll out the batter. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of flour down, and we're going to roll these out till they're about 1/4 inch thick. Then we're going to cut them into little circles, and these cookies are actually fried and not cooked in the oven. So let's get some rolled out, and we'll show you what's going on. Lightly flour our surface, and we roll. We want it about that thick. I'd say that's pretty close to 1/4 inch. Then you're going to take your cookie cutter. This is the size that I'm going to use. You can use whatever size you want. If you want bigger cookies, you can use a bigger cookie cutter. If you want smaller cookies, you can use a smaller cookie cutter. If you don't have a cookie cutter, you can use a glass. Just turn it upside down. Cut your holes. So you're going to cut as many as you can. Okay, so I've got my first batch all cut out. They're ready to be fried. So that's the process for rolling and cutting. I'm going to go ahead and cook these up, show you how to cook them, and then I'll finish up the rest off camera. We're ready to start cooking our cookies. As I said before, these ones are going to be fried and not baked. I've got the induction cooker out with my frying pan on it, and I have it set to medium heat. What you're looking to do is lightly cook your cookies until they're a golden brown. You're going to want about 2 minutes per side. You don't want to put too many in the pan at a time. You do want to be able to have room to be able to flip them over. You'll know your cookies are ready to flip when they start to puff up a little bit. I'm just going to check for brownness underneath them. Yep, they're ready to be flipped. They should be golden brown like these ones. But these cookies have been cooking for about 2 minutes on this side. They're about ready to come out. I'm just going to put them on a wire rack to cool until I'm finished them all. That's the process for making the cookies. I have all kinds of cookies here to cook, so I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll be back when they're all finished. One of the things I forgot to mention is you don't want to put anything in your frying pan before you start cooking. You don't want any butter or oil. You want the pan dry. That's what's going to give your cookies a nice golden brown. With the butter and shortening in there, that's what's going to cause them to not stick to your pan. So I'm going to finish cooking these, and we'll see you when we're done. And welcome back. All our cookies have been cut and cooked, and we're ready to taste. So this is what we ended up with. The cookies should make about 6 dozen depending on the size that you cut. If you make them a little bit bigger, you're going to get a few less. If you make them a little smaller, you're going to get a few more. So let's give them a taste. I do have to confess, I have tasted them off camera while I was cooking them. So I'll taste them on camera for you. They taste just as I remember, just like my mom used to make. These are really great cookies, and they keep really well if you don't eat them all in one sitting. But thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Share with all your friends. Comment down below. Did you like the video? Do you like these cookies, or what would you like to see us make next? And don't forget, first we cook, then we eat. So good.